All right, let's start then. So hi Paolo, hi, this is Gan here. Great to have you here.
My pleasure. Thank you again for having me today.
Hi, so before we start, could you give like us a little intro about yourself on how you came into cryptos and what are you doing now?
Sure. So I've been a developer for all my life. I'm 38, so it's now 30 years that I code. I started pretty young at the age of 8. Always been excited about the ability of creating my own stuff. I think coding is kind of an art and a way to express yourself. And fast forward, I graduated in university in Genoa, in Italy, was master applied to computer science. Worked as a researcher on resilient communication networks for a few years as part of the university, and then decided to start taking jobs in development related to finance. And so I started to work for a Swiss hedge fund, and then moved to created my own startup related to developing financial services or like platforms for financial services in London. And at that time was 2012, 2013. I started looking at the Bitcoin white paper. I got excited of the two aspects, the blockchain part, because to me the blockchain aspect was just genius, was the thing that would have solved many issues that we are that are present in the traditional financial space. In the traditional financial space, you have a technology that is 30 years old, is kept together by rubber and bands. And with blockchain technology, most of the issues that are present in traditional finance and all like the reconciliation of data and all the different trading venues and so on would disappear. The beauty of blockchains is that everyone is looking at very same data, right? And then I started thinking about Bitcoin as a currency. So first it's a blockchain, but then also the currency, and started to understand fairly quickly the potential of Bitcoin as a disruptive approach to a new currency. And I felt completely in love with it. So, I kept studying Bitcoin a way I could apply it. But then I met Giancarlo, our CFO at Bitfinex and Tether, and he asked me to join Bitfinex to start helping with the machine engine, to rewrite basically the core part of the platform.
That's like when?
Because at that time, it was 2014.
Okay.
At that time, Bitfinex was popular already as a trading platform, and when the user growth was immense, and so the platform was not designed to sustain this many new users. And so that's why I started to writing most of the code from scratch, building a team around that. I became the CTO in 2016, and then in 2017 I became the CTO of Tether.
Wow. Right, and what are you doing now? Like, are you still like focusing on Tether only, or are you doing?
I focus on both Bitfinex and Tether, and actually I focus on many things. Someone says too many things, but I just get excited about technology. I'm still heavily developing for Bitfinex the machine engine and the core components of the platform. For Tether, I take care of the security aspects. So when we roll out Tether on different Tether tokens on different blockchains, I take care of reviewing the security of the platform, so the different blockchains. And also I co-founded another project called Hole Punch, that is a peer-to-peer communication system. Is the first product that we launched was launched last year. It's called Keet, Keet. .io. And it's a full-on peer-to-peer video chat, video text chat without any central servers. It's super high quality. You can transfer terabytes between you and your friends. And so my role is like creating, crazy technology and having crazy ideas and trying to develop something around them.
Wow, interesting. For Keith, we'll get to that, but then I can feel the passion here of like the builders at the back to build a product that really solve the problem of people and help people in certain ways. Yeah, but coming back to Tether, and I mean, you guys are launching like a Tether Gold here too, right? So just want to ask more. So could you give like a brief overview about Tether and Tether Gold for anyone who might not be familiar with both of them?
Sure. So let's start from the basics. Tether tokens are stable coins. A stable coin is a concept that actually Tether company invented in 2014. So all this concept was actually created by us. I cannot claim the ownership because it's Giancarlo brilliant idea. But the concept was simple. Bitcoins move within 10 minutes. You can move Bitcoin. You can send Bitcoin from one wallet to another. But dollars take a ton of time, or took a ton of time. In order to send a wire from internationally, it was taking 30 days or 5 days. Takes a lot of time, right? And in 2014, when Tether was born, I mean, the technological rails of moving dollars fast, technically we're already there, right? So there was no excuse for dollar movements to be so slow, right? You have Bitcoin super fast, dollars super slow. And that was creating issues in cross-exchange arbitrage. When you are an arbitrager, you sell Bitcoin on the exchange where the price is higher. You get dollars, you move the dollars on the Bitcoin or the exchange where the Bitcoin price is lower. You buy again with your dollars the Bitcoins on the exchange where the price is lower. Then you move this Bitcoin on the exchange where the price is higher, and so on and so forth, right? So this is because this is a crucial process that all traders are doing in order to keep the price of Bitcoin aligned across different trading venues. Now, in order to do that, you have to move Bitcoins and you have to move dollars. But if moving dollars take 30 days, all your arbitrage trading opportunities are well gone. So the brilliant idea around USDT was why we don't reuse the brilliant technology that Bitcoin created, that was the blockchain, and why we don't use that to just move dollars. So Tether USDT is just a dollar on a blockchain. Right? The mechanism is pretty simple. You send X amount of dollars to our bank account in Tether, and we give you the same amount of tokens, right? And so that are these blockchain tokens, this cryptocurrency that is called stablecoin, Tether USDT. When you trade, you do whatever you want, someone else can come back with this X number of Tether USDT tokens and can request a redemption. So we send back the wire, right? So it's simple as that, right? So it's a token representation of a dollar. On our side, we have in our bank accounts, in our reserves, we have enough money and enough value to cover all the tokens that are in circulation. So a stablecoin is a cryptocurrency that is pegged to a national currency. In the case of USDT, the national currency is the US dollar. We also issued Euro Tether. And so, of course, the Euro Tether is pegged to the euro. And then we issue Tether Gold that is pegged, but actually is fully backed by pure gold. So the difference between Tether Gold and the direct ownership of gold, for example, is that first of all, most of people own gold through ETFs,
okay,
or they own gold through futures, or they own paper gold, right? So that is some sort of representation of someone that has, that is buying gold through other means and so on. So there's no clear chain of ownership, right? The issue with ETFs, you don't know where the gold is stored. The issue with futures is that there's a ton of leverage and it's unclear how much actual underlying is carried with this future. So with Tether Gold, instead, we have in a Swiss vault the same exact number of ounces that are existing as a token, as a cryptocurrency. So right now we have issued around $500 million worth for Tether Gold tokens. And that means that we have the same exact ounces, the same exact gold to back the entirety of this $500 million is sitting in a vault in Switzerland under our control. So the even more important difference is that if you have enough tokens to cover one full bar, right now it's quite expensive. It's $600,000 because it's 400 ounces. It's around 12.5 kilograms. But if you have more than 440 ounces of gold, you can ask for redemption and you can come to Switzerland and redeem this gold bar and take the gold bar with you. So that is the first time that you can actually have, first of all, a fully backed gold token that is backed with the pure gold London Good Delivery standard. And then you can also redeem it for physical gold. So we want, with Tether Gold, make the ownership of gold easier. We want to make it more transportable, but at the same time, we want still to provide a way for people to redeem it for physical gold. And why gold is important? Because it's, in up to 1971, I think it was Nixon, that unlinked the US dollar from the gold. Before 1971, in order for a nation to print more of their own national currency, they had to buy more gold. But then they decided that they wanted to be able to print as much as they wanted. And so that's how inflation started, right? So there is an interesting website that I suggest all your viewers to read, that is called What the Fuck Happened in 1971. And so it's a website that shows how the tipping point of 1971 and how the inflation, how everything changed from the cost of goods and the difference between cost of goods and salaries, for example. And that has been crazy. Right, so you could see that cost of goods goes really high, but the salary remains steady, and so that is the issue. So, and that is obvious if you think about it, right? It's because gold is scarce, and gold is scarce, and gold is basically hard to extract. So you cannot inflate it. You cannot create it out of thin air, right? So you have always something that is linked to the real economy. But instead, if you don't rely on anything and you just print at will, it happens what happened during the COVID times, that 30% of all the dollars in circulations have been printed in just 2 years. Isn't that crazy? I mean, 30% of all dollars in circulations has printed in 2 years. And so we think that the gold is going to be extremely important because it's the thing that when and if, of course, but if also when, there will be a massive issue because we are already living in a really difficult time at the geopolitical level. If things start to go wrong, gold is going to become critical again and really important for everyone. And so we wanted to create a currency, a way for people, for traders, but also for people to have ownership, not only on, of course, USDT, that is is a great product, USDT. I mean, we created that as well. But we think that in the future, gold will be more important than the dollar. And so that's why we wanted to show how it can be done. And we wanted to give to people an opportunity to all have ownership of directly of gold.
Interesting. So like you got the stable coin were found because of the inefficiency of the arbitraging of Bitcoin during the time. And now you guys are trying to get the gold on blockchain to solve the other problem of the inflation of money and also potentially some certain crisis that could happen with the increasingly devaluation of the money. All right.
Absolutely. That's exactly right.
Interesting. So I mean, I think for when people listen to like gold and then investing in gold on probably like paper blockchain, they still feel that okay, it might not be that secure because like they are not the one who hold their own gold and then they don't see it physically. So and also probably some other things that are in the way that make it feel uneasy for them. So what are the things that Tether make the holders of Tether Gold feel safe to hold Tether Gold?
So can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think I lost you for a second.
All right, do you want me to repeat the question or?
No. I understand the question.
All right, sure.
So, of course, having and seeing the physical gold in your hands has a different feeling. But especially for traders and big capital holders, it's, if you need to have a lot of gold, that gold is not easily transportable, right? So the beauty of blockchain is that allows the transportability of assets. Having also, so you can transport the assets, you can use that as a way of payment. Right now, if you have gold in your hands, if you have to pay, for example, for groceries, right? Or you have to pay for something like, for buying a pizza. It's not easy for you to start carving pieces of gold in order to pay the merchant. But with Tether Gold, you can use gold finally also as a mean of payment because it's completely digitalized as money is already digitalized. Also, there is we already proved that we could, and we stated that you could people can ask for redemption. Of course, the limit is quite high. Again, you have to have 440 ounces or 440 tokens in order to get a full bar. But we plan to also decrease that limit, and so we plan to start using also the 1 kilo bars.
Moving on to the next question would be, how safe is Tether Gold? How do you make the holder of Tether Gold feel safe to hold one?
Sure. So first of all, as I said, these people can, of course, there's a higher entry barrier, but people can actually prove that we have their gold bar because they can actually redeem if they have enough tokens to fulfill an entire gold bar. That in this moment is quite a lot because it's 440 ounces. So it's a 12 kilos bar. But these people can still redeem the tokens that they have for a full bar. So we are in progress of also, in order to make it easier for people to redeem for physical gold, we are also working to get to add to our portfolio. Instead of having only 12 kilos bars, we are also working to get 1 kilo bars and the 100 gram bars to make it easier for people to redeem. But nevertheless, of course, there are some trade-offs. On one side, if you have your own gold, you can keep the gold in your hand. That is, of course, is a good feeling. But the problem is that it's really hard to pay people with that. Because let's say that you want to buy a pizza, you have to carve a really tiny, perfect portion of your gold in order to pay a pizza. And that is quite difficult. But with Tether Gold, you can use actually Tether Gold as digital gold, and the payments are possible. You can start using the gold as actually a means of payment. Only 2,000 years ago, gold, well, up to probably 500 years ago, gold was used as a means of payment. You have the actual gold coins. But now, instead, everything's digital, and gold didn't become more digital. You have only ETFs and so on, but you cannot pay with the groceries with an ETF on gold. And again, you have also the problem of the fact that with an ETF on gold, you don't know where the gold is stored, or you don't have certainty, the mathematical certainty. And so I like Tether Gold because actually we are comfortable. We can see the gold. The gold is fully in a Swiss vault. So Switzerland is the safest country where you can keep gold, right? So 80% of all the gold bars in the world are produced in Switzerland. And so I think this combination of things make the product extremely solid, and I think is much, is in long term was going to be much more important than even USDT.
Got it. So it's in the Swiss wall, and then people can redeem the gold as well. So that's basically like you're holding a gold, but in a digital version of it that you could just take it out anytime, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so does like people have to go there to redeem the gold to Swiss, or?
Yes, in this moment, yes, because of course we cannot ship gold internationally. It's also $600,000 a gold bar, right? So it means that it's the insurance that goes with shipping like this gold bar internationally it would be much more expensive than you buying your own gold bar in your own country, right? So we can ship it anywhere in Switzerland. But if you want it outside of Switzerland, the cost will be so high that it should be on you rather than us, right? Okay. So and also the security aspects is kind of
so
worrisome.
It's kind of possible, but then it will be more costly to do so, right?
Yes, or you can fly to Switzerland, get your own gold bar, and because also based on your situation, you have to declare in a different way. We cannot declare it for you. That is your own property, right? So for us, it just makes sense to ship it in Switzerland, and then it's up to you where you want to ship it. Of course, we are doing all our due diligence. We have all our own KYC AML process in order to identify you, make sure that you are we are allowed to we have a banking grade KYC and AML process to make sure that, of course, only legitimate people can actually issue or redeem Tether Gold.
Got it. All right, I think that's pretty much clear about the goal. But then just wanna ask, coming back to one of the concerns that people might be. So this is something that people always be afraid of once there's like a lot of like market fluctuation. So how does like Tether ensure the stability and security of all the stable coins and gold during the market fluctuation?
Yeah, so when it comes to gold, Tether Gold is 1 ounce of one Tether Gold token is 1 ounce of gold, right? So we have the gold. So if the gold goes to 10,000, or the gold 1 ounce of gold goes to $10,000 worth of value, or goes to 1,000, doesn't matter to us, right? So we just need to have the gold backing the gold tokens.
The gold should be okay, but then how about the stable coin then?
The dollar one.
Yep.
Yeah, so when it comes to the dollar one, we have around 65% of the assets are in T-bills, so US T-bills. So and anyway, 100% of our assets are liquid, right? So we know that we can sell those assets for a dollar value, basically instantly. Our portfolio has withstood to all the possible black swan events. From 2020 in March, there was like when Donald Trump announced closing the inbound flights to US at the beginning of COVID times, the stock market started losing 50% of value in 34 days. Tether didn't have any issues, never refused redemption. 2022 was the craziest of the years for crypto. Everyone was looking at Tether as this thing that could fail from one moment to another, and yet Terra Luna, Celsius, Voyager, Genesis Trading, all BlockFi, FTX, everything else blew up. Tether was able in 48 hours to redeem $7 billion, that was 10% of our reserves, and was able in 20 days to redeem $20 billion, that was 25% of our reserves. And we could have kept going, right? We could have redeemed everything. The good thing about our portfolio is that it's super liquid and is in assets that are representing or linked to the US dollar, right? So also recently we have shown that we have the last quarter of 2022, Tether profited around $700 million, and in the first quarter 2023 we profited around $1.5 billion. So now we have a war chest of around $2.5 billion, above the 100% reserves. So you can argue that the backing of Tether USDT is higher than 100%. And so in the end, we are simple people. The only thing that we want is for Tether to be an extremely solid product, because Tether is now being used by hundreds of millions of people around the world. In Argentina, in Turkey, in Venezuela, but also in Vietnam, in Thailand, and so on. So our goal is we are not considering Tether as a cash out. We are considering as a product that everyone needs, and so we want to make it as safe as possible. That's why the majority of our assets are in US T-bills. There is a little bit of gold, as we demonstrated. There is 4% of gold. There is 2% of Bitcoins. That, by the way, that 2% of Bitcoin is lower than our own equity. That is lower than those $2.5 billion that our own excess equity. So all these things are done to make Tether the most solid product ever. So we withstood to also, and think about 2023. You had Silicon Valley Bank, Signature, Silvergate, First Republic Bank, all these banks that were considered like super solid. All these banks failed. All these banks went bankrupt. They were acquired, and they failed their customers. Right? These banks had in their portfolio municipality bonds and other crazy things that Tether would not touch with a 10-foot pole because they are too risky. And yet Tether has been the company that has been so scrutinized for the last many years, almost 10 years. And no one is looking at the banks. No one is looking, at the real problem. The banks can over leverage, right? The banks can go over leverage. They can do fractional reserve and so on. Tether is not doing that. And so I think that Tether is much safer than basically any bank in the world in this moment.
Interesting. Yeah, so basically it's fully collateralized, and then also a bit on top, I would say a bit over collateralized too. Interesting.
Exactly.
Interesting. So yeah, jumping back to the other thing that you mentioned earlier during the starting of the call, you mentioned that you've been working on Key too, right? An application. Could you explain about it again, and also how does it align with overall Tether vision and mission?
Yeah, so we are seeing Tether has doing quite well on the stablecoin part, but I think that as a company we have to keep our pace of innovation. We have now the capital, we have the strength, we have the size to also innovate in other fields. One of these fields that is a field that is really dear to me is the communication field. Because I think that, this concept of individual sovereignty, where if you are a person, you need to have two things in your life. The ability, in order to be free, you need to be able to have freedom of communication, freedom of speech, basically, and you have to be able to have freedom of transaction. You need to be able to send money to your friends. If you don't have one of the two, then you are not really free. Because, of course, if you cannot talk freely, you are not free. But also, if you cannot send money freely to your friends and your family, you are not free. So Bitcoin solved the problem of freedom, of financial freedom really well, and also Tether. But the freedom of communication is extremely worrisome. And if you remember my story, one of the first projects I worked on was a communication system, a resilient communication system that was designed to survive to battlefields as well. So I think that the world, first of all, needs a communication solution that is not controlled by any big tech company, right? So now big tech companies are controlling WhatsApp, WeChat, Telegram, Zoom, everything, and that's not great. And so we wanted to create there is a technology that already, because BitTorrent proved that technology, there is already the technology that allows people to communicate. People's devices can communicate directly between each other without any central server. And so even more so, right? So think about this, right? So let's say that you have a friend living in your own city. And so right now, if you use WhatsApp, for example, to send him a message, you want to send him a message. Your message will travel thousands of miles to a WhatsApp data center just to go back 200 meters to the house of your friend. So your message, every single message that we send on social media, on these chats, or every single, even this Zoom call that we're doing, our data is not going directly between me and you. It's traveling additional thousands of miles to go to a data center so that the traffic can then be routed to you, right? From me to you and vice versa. And especially the majority of the people in the world are talking with people that are living in the same city or same region anyway. And so think about the waste of all these communications that are traveling thousands of miles more just to go back to the same city. And so there is a cost to that because the internet infrastructure costs are exploding. There is also a control problem, a censorship problem. Now you could have a country that where, these big tech companies that own these chats, like, WhatsApp and so on, are mainly based in a specific jurisdictions. So these countries could decide to actually block the Telegram, could block WhatsApp, could block WeChat and so on, and make it impossible for all the other nations to use it from one day to another. And so that is not freedom, right? Freedom is you need to be able, you are in Thailand, I could be in Italy. I mean, I'm Italian, right? So we need to be able we need to be able to communicate no matter what. We need to be able to not rely on a third-party company in order to communicate with our friends, with our families. If we are always scared that all our data is being listened to, washed, harvested, and used for monetary reasons by big tech companies, that is not freedom, right? That is not sustainable. That is also scary because if there is a big issue globally, like there is a war, all our data will be weaponized against us, right? So there are so many reasons why it's important to invest in freedom of communication technology.
Got it. So that's the reason. That's the whole reason why you emphasize on the social media and the communication, right? Cause like earlier you were just like focusing on the money, and then once you solve the money part with the gold and the fiat and the stablecoin and everything, now you move on to the communication, which is the other side of the power. Let's say.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, interesting. So, I mean, jumping into the key, I mean, I have been just looking into a bit quite a bit. So, what are the things that would what are the I'm not sure if it's already launched, but then if it is, so what's the interesting features or anything that is interesting to try on?
Sure. So with Kit, first of all, the desktop version it works fairly well. The mobile version is super alpha, right? So we are just testing it out with closed groups. So it's not quite stable. But in the next 3 months, everything will become super stable, both desktop and mobile. So I think one of the fun things is, if you have a friend, right, you want to send him a file, like a big video or whatever. Now you have to use like WeTransfer or some big some like centralized system, because if you have a friend in the chat, let's say they want to use Telegram or WhatsApp, you are limited to 100 megabytes in upload. You cannot send files bigger than 100 megabytes. But the beauty of Keep is that you can create a room with your friend and you can share gigabytes, terabytes, doesn't matter. So that is that is possible because you establish a direct connection to your friend. So you are not relying on centralized servers. So you are not limited by centralized infrastructure. So and this is important, right? So in order, you just want to send a file to your friend, you can do it without any sort of limitation. So that is one of the things I'm more excited about. And also you can do 4K videos, right? So you can do a call and you can do 4K video calls fully for free, because again, you are already using your bandwidth and your friend is using his bandwidth, and you are not consuming a centralized server bandwidth, right? So right now, Google Meet or Zoom have an hard time to serve 4K video calls just because it is too much even for them, right? Imagine if 1 billion people would start doing 4K video calls through Google servers or Zoom servers. They wouldn't have the capabilities, the bandwidth to allow that. But if suddenly everyone does 4K video calls through Keep, you can do that because you are only routing the traffic directly from point to point.
Interesting. Yeah, so basically the quality of the videos and the features are in higher quality. So that's the highlight that we should go out and try. And also the data.
And fully private.
Okay, yeah.
So it's fully private, it's fully encrypted. The entire underlying protocol is open source. So you can see the communication protocol, the encryption protocol is all open source. It's written in JavaScript. So it's an unprecedented level of transparency, quality, and it's fully uncensorable. Not even us that are the developers of this thing can stop it, right? Because it's actually peer-to-peer. So there's really no way to control it or stop it.
All right, interesting. Yeah, so higher quality, more privacy. Why don't you try, right?
Yes, exactly.
All right, I think that's probably it from my side. But then, is there anything? Okay, last question. Is there anything that you wanna say to Thai community? Could be about Tether, about Go, about the Key, and any other thing else.
Well, I just think that we are now living an interesting time where money and technology is moving faster than what politicians in general understand and are ready to understand. So I think it's important for everyone to do their own research, to understand why this technology is so powerful and important. I strongly recommend to avoid scams and really not being lured into investing for speculation. But if you invest, if you want to go deep in this technology, has to be the reason is that this technology is kind of one of the few only ways out for people, right? Is a technology that can enable freedom. Is not about speculation, but is about protecting yourself, your families from potential changes in the world situation.
All right, got it. Thanks for sharing, Paolo. I mean, great having you here. I mean, talk to you later, man.
Thank you very much, Ben. It was a pleasure.
Same here. Bye.